like, why are you making it seem like I led you on and like I played with your heart or something? And he was like, because you did. I was like, hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Lucia. It's nice to meet you. And recently a guy wrote a diss about me in one of his rap songs. Y'all, okay, so this song recently got released like a week ago, and I'm just gonna tell you guys the story that led up to that. So let's get started. You know how like in songs, like artists like change the names when they like talk about like someone in their lives, especially in like love songs or something? Homeboy did not do that. Homeboy mentioned my name and everything, okay? And I will be including that clip, so stick around. Alright, so this story takes place during my junior year of college, which was last year for me. And I met this guy like through mutual friends, but we never like connected. Like I would see him a lot around campus and I thought he was cute. My roommate and I decided to throw like a kickback, so we invited like our mutual friends, and then I was like, oh, like this is the perfect opportunity to like invite him. The whole night like I'm flirting with him, I'm laughing at his jokes a little harder, like I'm even like touching him on the shoulder, like little things like that. And this boy is so oblivious, like he did not catch on. Like I was sitting next to him on the couch and I peeped like one of his friends who was sitting next to me kind of like, you know, gave him a sign like, hey, like in case you cannot tell, like this girl has been flirting with you. And that's when he was like, oh. And the next day we're all hanging out in this place called the ODI here on my campus, and we're talking about like how the night was, what happened during the night. Eventually like people start leaving and stuff, so then I announced that, hey, like I'm actually gonna head back to my place, which was an on-campus apartment. And then he was like, oh, like I'm gonna go too. And I asked him, oh, like do you have anything planned? He was like, no, not really. And then I was like, oh, like you trying to hang out? He was like, yeah, sure. And then I noticed like everyone like looking at me because they were like, ooh, what are they on? But we walked all the way back to my on-campus apartment. We got there, we're in the living room, we're watching like TV, I think like either a movie or we started like a TV show or something. We're chit-chatting, and then the topic about like relationships like come up, and he's telling me how he's looking for something real. Like he's not the type of guy who needs like multiple women. He's not the type of guy who even really likes to party like that. He's more of a, I need a solid woman. I'm like, oh, okay, like you're looking for something real, like I'm looking for that too, like that's great, I really respect that. Please pay attention to what I just said because it plays a huge role in the future. We called it a night. All we did was like sit on that couch, talk, and like watch whatever TV show and all that good stuff. One of my friends came back and told me that she was in the ODI and she had overheard like him talking about like the girl that he's talking to, like even pointing her out, because when she walked in, the girl that he was talking to about me was like, oh, is that her? And she was like, what? So she caught on like really fast. So when she came back and told me that, I took that as a red flag, because homeboy, like we barely know each other for you to be talking about me to the extent that you're not pointing me out to people. Like I don't like stuff like that. Like maybe some of you like stuff like that, and that's perfectly okay, but I don't like stuff like that. I like to be private. I got some fruit snacks because I got really hungry, but I'm pretty big on communication, so I ended up like telling him like, hey, like I don't really like what you did and I'm more of like a private person. And he was like, oh, like I didn't know that, like I didn't think it was a big deal, I didn't see anything wrong with it, but I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen again. And I was like, okay, but it did happen again. It did. But the second time it happened, he had told like his family about me. And mind you, like it's not like we're dating. It's not like this is my boyfriend and he's like, you know, he wants to talk about me like to his friends, but we're not even dating. Like we haven't even been on a date. We haven't even kissed, like, and he's talking about me to his family. So that was really turning me off, because I was like, why are you getting attached so fast? So once again, I told him, and at this point, like I'm pretty much like self-sabotaging myself, and that's something that I told him that I do sometimes. but I'm pretty much like self-sabotaging myself, and he's like, no, you're only doing that, like you told me like you do this sometimes when like you feel like things are getting too, you know, deep or whatever, like you get scared. And I'm like, oh, this is not one of those times, honey, like you're just really turning me off. Oh, around that same time too, me and my roommate, we wanted to go to South Padre. So mind you, at this point, I've told him like, hey, like I don't think I'm looking for anything like serious, especially right now because I'm gonna be going on like this trip. And also like, I don't think I want anything serious. And I've also like told him like the type of guy that I usually go towards. And he was like more so like, I'm not even gonna describe him. I'm just gonna describe the kind of guys that I go towards. And he was just not that. So I like guys who are like bigger, you know, a little bit more muscular and stuff like that. And another thing was he wasn't into horror movies, and I'm a huge fan of like horror movies, like huge fan. And another thing is I liked guys who attempted to be an activist, like they cared about social issues, like because my major is criminal justice with minors in psychology, sociology, and women's studies, so like that was a very important like factor to me personally. But it was just like little things like that that I could let go of. But when he started doing like his little shenanigans and it stacked up, it was like, oh, like I can't really let go of that, because now it's like I got to a point where like I was just okay with being friends. And I told him that, like I was like, I'm not looking for anything. I told him I wasn't looking for anything because of South Padre. I'm not looking for anything in general, like, and I'm thinking like we're naturally like becoming friends, like we're still close, like he's a cool person, at least at that point he was. So I called him up and I just told him, I was like, hey, like I just think we should just be friends. Like I don't think this is gonna turn into anything romantic. I feel like we're too different. I feel like the type of guy that I go towards, like you're just so the opposite of that, and I don't think I can do much with this, if that makes sense. But I let him know, and we're just like conversing back and forth. I'm thinking like he took it well, you know, like decently well. So hang up the phone, I get a text from one of my friends who was like, yo, like, oh, I didn't even give this man a freaking name. Let's call him Tin Head. So one of my friends texts me and is like, yo, like Tin Head is in the studio and he's freaking out over you. And I'm like, what the heck? Like I just had a conversation with him about like being friends and, you know, all that good stuff. And I'm thinking like he took it well. I thought like we were at a good place. Like, why are you texting people that you're freaking out over me or messed up over me or whatever? Especially at the studio. Like, what? Like, are you Drake or something?
Wow.
So I go back and I have yet another conversation with him. And I'm really hoping like this one sticks. Like I don't want to hear about him texting one of our mutual friends that he's in the studio freaking out over me. Like what kind of dramatic shit is that? But the next thing was one of my organization had like this open mic event. After the open mic event, me, him, and like two of our mutual friends, we decided to go to Wendy's to get some food. So we're in the Wendy's drive-thru and I'm checking my messages, and I see that he had texted me like during the open mic event. So I open it and he had texted me to like put him on one of like my close friends at that time. So now I'm like, what the heck put you on one of my close friends? Like, I mean, you can mess with whoever you want to mess with, date whoever you want to date. Don't come to me and ask me to put you on to one of my close friends. That's mad weird. That's like me asking you to put me on like your best friend who's like driving the car right now. And I mentioned that to him and he didn't say shit. You're obviously trying to get a reaction from me. But the argument was like pretty bad, to the point like after we argued, like the whole car was just like silent, and we got our food and then I just went upstairs, and it was just such a weird vibe. I was just like so annoyed by him. But then I don't even know how we made up, but somehow, someway we made up. So winter break comes along and we all like went out of town to like visit our families, stuff like that. We came back, me and my roommates decided to have like, not a kickback, more like a hangout, invite some of our friends over, and he was included. So we're all hanging out in my room, and I had made some food and I brought some over, and I was feeding like the food to one of my guy friends, and I think like Tin Head peeped that I was feeding food to one of my guy friends, and I feel like a screw like went loose in his head or something, because the next thing that I knew, one of my girlfriends was saying niggas ain't shit. So then I'm coming along and I'm also saying, oh yeah, niggas ain't shit. And he's over there like, no, Lucy, like you can't say niggas ain't shit. You can't say niggas ain't shit. You're not allowed to say that. And I'm like, how are you gonna tell me what I can and cannot say in my own room? Who are you? Like, how are you gonna tell me what I can and cannot say in my own room? So then I'm looking at him like, I'm gonna say whatever I wanna say. Niggas ain't shit. And he was like, no, like you can't say that. You can't say that. And I'm like, who are you? Like, what do you mean? And then he turns to like my other girlfriend who had said it originally, and he was like, oh, tell me why you think niggas ain't shit. Like, let me understand. But then when I tried to say something, he was like, no, like you can't say that. Like you can't say niggas ain't shit. And I was like, well, if you are a nigga who isn't shit, I understand why you're upset. Like I said it. I said what I said, because like he was tripping. And then the entire time, like we're hanging out with like our friends, he's throwing like really shady comments at me. And our friends, they're peeping it because it's obviously like towards me. So I'm asking him now like, hey, like, do you have an issue? Like, do you have a problem with me? And he's like, no, like, I don't have any problem with you. And it got to a point where it was like so many shady comments like coming my way that I was just over it, because I was like, how are you disrespecting me in my own room, in my own apartment? Like, are you mad? Are you stupid? Do you pay rent? I mean, I didn't pay rent because it was an on-campus living space, but it was my apartment, okay? Like, I did pay money, just not rent. But eventually, like, I just left the room because I didn't want to, like, make it a big deal and, like, kick him out and then just ruin, like, the whole vibe. So I just took myself out of that environment. And then I ended up like going to the living room, and I was just watching a show, like, you know, just trying to relax, think happy thoughts, because I really wanted to slap this boy, but I'm not a violent person. My friends, they start leaving, so I'm saying bye to them as they're leaving and stuff like that. And then he left, I didn't say bye to him. And then and then I came back, and my roommates are like, yeah, like when you left to go to the living room, like he was just talking about you the entire time, and he was making it seem like you led him on, like you never told him, like you never wanted anything with him, like you were just this heartless person who like led him on to believe like you guys were gonna have something real. And I was like, are you serious? Like, really? I really couldn't believe it, because I was like, why is he acting like we were dating for so long, like we had been on so many dates, like we were getting so like intense, and I just like pulled the plug on him, and I was like, yeah, like I'm not feeling this at all. Like I was always communicative about anything that I was feeling. Like I wasn't scared to like tell you what I'm feeling, like, because who are you? Like I'm gonna let you know, like if I'm not feeling you, you're going to know, like, because I don't have time to be playing games. I don't have time. Do you have time? Because I don't. So the next day, like I texted him and I was like, hey, like I don't know what type of animosity is going on between us. Like I don't understand why you were throwing shady comments at me. Like it came out of nowhere, but like we obviously need to have a conversation. So whenever you're free, like I'm ready. Like let's have this conversation. And he's gonna text me back talking about like, what animosity are you talking about? Like there's no animosity, like we're good, like I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you were throwing shady comments at me though in my room and disrespecting me, but you don't know what I'm talking about. But apparently, like when I was texting him like, hey, like I don't know if we have like animosity or whatever, one of my roommates was also like down there as well. And she came back and told me like, oh yeah, like he like showed me like the text that you sent. He was like, yeah, like I don't know what she's talking about. And he was like laughing about it. And I was like, what the heck? Like, you're not making any sense. And then later on, my other roommate told me like, yeah, like Tin Head has been talking about you a lot to like the people downstairs and making it seem like you're leading him on. So now it's not even like him just telling like the close circle of friends, it's him also like telling like outsiders and like really making it seem like you led him on. And I was like, what the heck? Like, what? I reached out to him and again I was like, hey, like I've heard that you've been talking about me behind my back, like you're not saying shit to me, but you want to like say all types of shit to other people about me. So like, what's up? Like, let's have this conversation. And then he was like, oh, like I'm gonna be out of town, like I can't talk. Like, you're gonna be out of town, like you're acting like you're gonna be out of town for the rest of your life, like you're gonna come back eventually because you go to the school and you have an apartment over here. Like, what do you mean you're gonna be out of town? And there's FaceTime. What do you mean you're gonna be out of town? Like, how is that an excuse to not have a conversation? Like, he was just running away from having this conversation. Like, he just wanted to be mad at me. Like, he just wanted to victimize himself. And but yeah, I think like the morning he called me when he was like about to go out of town, I picked up and he was like, hey, like I told you like I was gonna go out of town, but I wanted to try to have a, you know, conversation with you over the phone. I was like, okay, cool, like let's have this conversation. Why are you making it seem like I led you on and like I played with your heart or something? And he was like, because you did. I was like, because I did? Like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And I was like, how did I lead you on when like I always told you like what I was about, like what was going on with me? And he was like, no, like you never told me anything. I was like, unless like you're having like brain damage somewhere where you don't remember me like letting you know, having multiple conversations with you on the phone. Like, you don't remember me telling you like the type of guy that I liked and how you were not it. You don't remember me telling you like, oh, I'm going to South Padre, I'm not looking for a relationship. You don't remember me telling you that I don't want a relationship. You don't remember that? And he was like, no, like the first day that we hung out, we're sitting on the couch and I told you like, hey, I'm looking for something real. I'm looking for like a relationship to like settle down, commit to one person. And you were like, yeah, like I respect that. I'm looking for that too. And I was like, so that's what you're using against me. You're using the fact that I said I was also looking for something real and saying that I led you on because I said that? Like, what? So because I said I'm looking for something real, must it be you? Did I say I was looking for something real with you? Pow. Oh! And even if I had said it then, that was like one of the first times that we hung out like one-on-one. But then after the fact, like I told you I didn't want a relationship. I told you the type of guy that I was looking for. And if I remember correctly, like you came at me and you were like, oh, like I'm gonna start working out, like I'm gonna start going to the gym. Oh, do you want to watch horror movies? Like, let's watch horror movies. Like, you came at me trying to change yourself for me. I did not force you. I did not do anything to make you stay. I told you what I was about. I told you like, hey, I'm gonna go on a date with another guy. And you stayed trying to pursue me. You stayed trying to change yourself for me. So it is not my fault that you're pathetic enough to stay and try to pursue me and then flip it around and victimize yourself and make it seem like I was trying to lead you on. Like, homeboy, what? I was so like baffled. Like I was like, there's no way that this boy is this delusional. There's no way. But we're still talking on this phone, okay? Mind you, we're still having this whole like ordeal of me telling him like, remember when I told you this and that and that? But he was still stuck on the fact like, no, like remember the first day that we hung out and I was like, I want something real, and you were like, yeah, like I respect that, like I want something real too. Like I was like, how does that correlate to me leading you on? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So that's what you've been using and going around and telling people that I led you on. Like, that's what you've been using. You've been telling people like, I never told you I never wanted anything serious. I never told you like I didn't want a relationship. Like, oh my God, yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like, I was just on the phone like, are you serious? Like, what? I started like getting so mad. And then he was like, and you're not even being like a good friend to the guy that I was feeding the food to. Let's call him Two Sides, I guess. Two Sides. So he was like, yeah, like you're not even being a good friend to Two Sides. Like I saw you like feeding the food to him, and I'm sure like you're doing the same thing to him. Like you're trying to lead him on. Like you're not even being a good friend to him. And I was like, Okay, first of all, like, don't speak on things like you don't know about. Like, don't be assuming shit. And even if, like, whatever, like, I have going on with Two Sides, it's none of your business. But if you must know, like, me and Two Sides, we have a friends with benefits. And mind you, he's the one who even suggested that. And I was like, okay, period. Because I'm also looking for something very casual. So I was yelling at him on the phone. I was cussing him out. I was like, you're effing stupid. Like, you really think like you know what you're talking about? Like, you're speaking on things like you don't know about, and you're trying to make me seem like a bad person and trying to say like I'm leading Two Sides on like he's some fragile little boy. Like, homeboy is the one who suggested the friends with benefits. Like, stop speaking on things you don't know nothing about. And then after like I said all that, like I hung up on him. I did. I know it was very rude, but it's like, there's nothing else like I needed to hear from him, and there's nothing else that I wanted to say. Like, I was so mad. I was so mad. He went out of town. He came back. I heard a knock on like my apartment door. I go to open it, and I see that it's him, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, what else do you want from me now? What else do you want? And I see that he's like with the guy friend that was also there at the Wendy's, like when we were arguing and stuff. So I let them in. Eventually, like, the guy friend ends up leaving, and I'm warming up my food in the microwave. I get my food. I've barely spoken a word to this man. Like, I don't have anything to say. So I'm getting my food. I'm walking back to my room. He's following me. I get to my room. I sit on my bed, put my little like TV show on my laptop. Like, I'm eating and I'm watching my TV show. Like, he's just standing there next to my bed. Like, I was pretending like this boy was not there, because like I had nothing to say to him. So then he starts talking, and he's like, yeah, I came here to let you know, like, I'm not here to apologize. Like, I meant everything that I said, and I feel like you need a friend who's going to do that, who's going to like put you in your place.
Who gonna check me, boo?
When I tell you the slap that I wanted to give this boy, y'all. He keeps going like, yeah, I'm not here to apologize. I still think you're leading Two Sides on, like you're leading him on like you did to me, and I think you just need friends who will put you in your place. And the whole time I'm like, okay, because if I say anything else other than okay, things might go south, and I'm not trying to like escalate anything. So I'm just sitting on the bed eating my food. He's talking all that garbage, and I'm just saying, okay, all right, are you done? No? Okay. Eating my food. Okay. Are you done? No? Okay. But eventually, like, he, I guess, finished what he's going to say, and this boy, it's truly a miracle that I didn't slap this boy, I promise you. So after he got done like shitting on my entire existence, he literally patted me on the shoulder, and then he walked out.
Ooh, Jesus, take the wheel.
And at that point I was like, the fact that you came in here to disrespect me in my room again, and then you have the audacity to pat me on the shoulder like you just gave me some quality advice. I realized like, okay, like now I'm really gonna focus on myself, because this man is going around and talking about me to people. Like, I'm just gonna focus on myself, my grades. I didn't even go to like the ODI anymore. Like, I was just really to myself, like happy as hell, staying out of drama. Like, I wasn't even talking about the situation with other people. Like, I was really minding my own business. And this one day I'm hanging out with like one of my girlfriends. We went and we got tacos. It was delicious. Okay, we got tacos and we're chit-chatting, and she's like, oh, like I have something to tell you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I already know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be some other drama that includes Tin Head talking about me. I already knew. But she's like, yeah, like the weeks that you've been gone from the ODI, Tin Head has been there almost every single day talking bad about you. Like, I don't know how he didn't run out of things to say, but like he's been there almost every single day for continuous weeks talking bad about you and making it seem like you really like led him on and like destroyed his life type of. And it's to the point that like one of my guy friends at that time was like, oh, like, okay, she belongs to the streets. And I was like, I belong to the streets because I told this boy that I didn't want a relationship. I belong to the streets because I had several conversations with this guy that I wasn't looking for anything. I belong to the streets because I tried to have a mature conversation with this boy and he kept running away. I belong to the streets because homeboy couldn't get over the fact that he could not get me. Like, even after I told him, hey, like, I'm not looking for anything. Hey, I'm about to go on a trip with my girlfriends and I'm trying to be single. Hey, I'm going on a date with a whole other guy. Hey, you're usually not the guy that, like, I go towards. Like, you don't fit that. And yet he stayed and tried to pursue me. Yet he stayed and tried to change himself for me. Yet he went to the studio and was tripping all over me. Like, he was messed up over me in the studio. But I belong to streets because of that. Okay. So I was like, okay, what else? But she's like, yeah, like, he was just in there, like, talking bad about you. And I was like, okay, like, I know, like, he's already on some shit, but tell me, like, who else was there? And she was, like, listing off, like, the people that I thought, like, were my friends and were gonna have my back, but they were in there, like, quiet as a, what's something that's quiet? As a mouse. I don't know. I mean, mice, like, squeak. But quiet, like, my other friends were in there and they were quiet. Like, they didn't really, like, defend me. And I was, like, at that point, that's when I started, like, cutting off people, like, left and right. Like, when I tell you, I did not care. Okay, like, I don't care how long we've known each other. If, like, you're not loyal to me, like, you get an opportunity to, like, stand up for me and you don't, I will cut you off quick. But that really, like, irritated me, and I told my friend, like, just let him know to stop talking about me. Like, because I haven't been talking about him, I haven't been talking about the situation, but the fact that he's literally finding any living thing to talk bad about me too, like, that's ridiculous. Like, I went back and I texted my roommate, like, hey, like, this is the update on Tin Head, this is what he's been doing. I no longer feel comfortable with him being in this apartment because Tin Head had made it a mission to, like, build friendships with, like, my roommates, so he would still have, you know, the right to come in. Like, I peeped that. It's okay, like, build friendships wherever you want. Eventually, like, my roommate ended up, like, telling him, like, hey, like, Lucy doesn't want you in this apartment, in our room. So he texted me, like, this long paragraph, and he was like, I can't believe how selfish you're being. Like, you always victimize yourself, you always play the victim. Like, I'm literally friends with your roommate and your other roommate, and you're making it seem like I'm coming there for you. Like, I'm not coming there for you. Like, I could care less about you. Like, I literally have friendships there. And I was like, you have a whole apartment, baby boy. You have a whole apartment. So the friends that you're saying that you know you have in this apartment, why don't you go ahead and invite them to your place? Why do you have to come over to the space that I have? It's like, you're not content enough with, like, talking bad about me outside, that now you also want to, like, come into my personal space, like, somewhere where I have peace, and also, like, interrupt that. Like, you're not about to do that. I'm pretty sure that he didn't stop because, again, he wrote a whole song about, not a whole song, but he mentioned me in, like, his diss song or whatever. But I'm about to play this diss song, y'all. Just listen.
Me and then it was Abby, or maybe it was Lily. Either way, don't get me started on Lucy. All the time wasted.
This man said, don't even get me started on Lucy. Please get started on me. And I listened to more of the song, and he was like, oh, she's shallower than a cave. And I was like, what? It's the lyrics for me. Like, at least do better. Like, come on. Shallower than a cave, that's what we're doing? Really? I'm unimpressed. He was trying to go back and forth with me, and I just snipped it. I was like, you can argue with me, you can say whatever you want to say. The bottom line is, I don't want you in this apartment ever. Like, you're obviously obsessed. You're still talking about me like you can't get over it. Like, but y'all, that's the story behind why this boy wrote a diss about me in his song. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Please don't forget to like. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.